Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, here we go again. Cormani McClain, problems.
Again.
And also, the Tennessee Vols have jumped in the recruiting rankings. They picked up a big-time wide receiver. We're going to talk about that. But first, we've got to get into this Cormani situation. We talked about him a while back when he committed to Florida. I had hoped that he would turn things around. I always believe in second chances, especially in a situation with an athlete who just maybe needs to grow up. Clearly, it doesn't seem to be working out. Let's get into this story. This is irritating. It says, McClain reportedly infuriated new Gator teammates after turbulent exit from Colorado. So he has wasted no time going right back into the same nonsense. This says, early reviews out of Gainesville have not been positive surrounding McClain. Talks about the Colorado exit, which was turbulent. He beefed with teammates and head coach Deion Sanders. And I remember thinking when he was out there, what an ideal spot for him. Here is probably the greatest cornerback in the history of NFL football and college when he was at Florida State. Deion Sanders, I mean, who better to teach you how to be a cornerback and to help lead you? And it didn't work out. That was a huge red flag. You're going, who else are you going to respect? If you don't respect Deion Sanders as a cornerback and that's what you're trying to be, it's just not good. I mean, I don't know, what else do you do? So he winds up back at Florida, which is a good spot to be. It gives him a chance to learn and, try to get on the field. Now, Florida's got some good cornerbacks, but again, he could certainly be a quality backup. He's got all the talent in the world. But you've got to actually work at it. This is not high school anymore. You don't get to just walk out and be the best athlete. This is SEC. You're in a whole different conference. Now, he went to Florida as a walk-on, but he had some NIL money, I believe, that took care of any financial issues. He said he's reportedly made a habit of showing up late for off-season workouts. That's resulted in not only personal punishment, but also team-wide discipline. Now's when you're getting into some real issues. Especially on a team like this. I played college sports, and when a team starts getting punished because of what you do, oh man. Let's see what's going on with it. It says, Nick De La Torre of On3 Sports says, I was told that McClain has been late to the requirements, meetings, lifts, etc. The way that it's handled is sort of like a strike system. Essentially, you get a warning, then you have to do extra run and lift, which he started to show up late for as well. They started to make the defense and then the rest of the team do extra lifts thinking that would get Cormani to show up on time, but it hasn't. I think I saw this in a movie one time.
From now on, whenever Private Pyle up, I will not punish him. I will punish all of you.
Yeah, you didn't want to bring a jelly donut around. That, Sergeant. So it sounds like Billy Napier's got a little bit of military stuff going on down there. Which is, when you've got a big team like this, you start out with punishment to see if that fixes it. You would think team punishment would definitely motivate this guy to show up. Otherwise, the team's going to hate you. They're going to want you gone. He may not, maybe he doesn't care. Says you're not going to be liked in the locker room. Absolutely not. If your immaturity is causing the rest of the team to have to run. Goes to what I said about him when Florida took their flyer on him, just immature, needs to grow up. And you'll remember Deion Sanders wished him the best. He said, I pray to God that he goes to a program that challenges him as well as holds him accountable and develops him as a young man. And Cormani said when he was out at Colorado, he said, I feel like I just don't want to play for clicks. I actually want to be involved with a great leading program that's going to develop players. So that was obviously another red flag. Florida, it's not like they had to give up a scholarship. He's a 5-star, so I can understand them taking a chance on the kid. I mean, what the heck? He's 18 years old or however old he is. And you're thinking, maybe I can get this guy turned around. He could help us on the field. But it sounds like it's not going well at all. And I don't know how much longer he'll be on the team. It doesn't look good at all. So this is an update on him. Like I said, I covered him a few months ago. I don't like these signs. This looks really bad. Sounds like he'll be probably at a JUCO at some point here coming up. All right, now let's get into a positive story. Tennessee Vols picked up a very good wide receiver in Travis Smith. Now, this guy's 6'4", 200 pounds. I mean, he is a big dude. He reminds me a lot of Cedric Tillman. kind of that big athlete that can really high point the ball. And I'll show you some highlights on this guy. You may have seen some highlights yourself, but here's just a little refresher on it. Right here, you can see how much taller he is, and then cornerbacks that deal with him, then he gets to high point it, then he can kind of bully him. Now, he's not got that Jalen Hyatt blazer speed, much more like a Cedric Tillman, but very powerful. You can tell he can man up with any cornerback. He's going to be half a foot taller than the vast majority of cornerbacks out there. And great hands, loves to high point the ball. Here we'll watch another of his plays. Great target. Oh my gosh, what a great catch. I could never make that catch. Yeah, here's where you're going to really see him probably shine, would be around the end zone. That's when you want those 6'4", 200+ pound guys. Yeah, great hands. And then he just bullies. That is just a bully out there. So obviously a great pickup for the Vols. They have jumped several spots in ranking. On3's got him as the number 59 player in the country. Some of the other services have him around 100, 120, something along those lines. So a really strong 4-star. And let's see what it did for our rankings. I believe last time we were sitting at 15. That jumped us 3 spots. And you'll notice you can get in the top 10 with 1 more point. Right now, we're 1 point from being in the top 10. So we're basically tied for 10th. 245.46 is 10th. We're 245.39. So it's just a matter of 1 more player here and there. And we'll certainly jump Penn State. They've got 22. Look at the average. That's the key to this whole thing. We're sitting at 91. That's normally about where we sit. That'll get you in the top 10. You can see Michigan's at 91.6. That's good for them. These other teams are around 91 as well. Here's Texas A&M, 91.5. Then you get into your top 5. Notre Dame will fall out of that top 5 for sure. Now we're going to get into some craziness. Alabama sitting at 94.68. Folks, that's Nick Saban level right there. Kalen DeBoer's doing a great job. 5 stars. That's, man, that's getting annoying. You've got Ohio State sitting at 93.89 at number 1. They have 1 more commit as Y. Georgia, of course, is always top 3. They'll probably end up being 1st or 2nd. LSU is sitting at number 6, 93. That's the key. 93 and above, you're going to be in the top 5. And here's Clemson at almost 93, but they've only got 13 commits, so we'll see. That average will probably come down. They normally sit around 91 when it's all said and done. Texas is at 91. Now, here's another really good one is Florida State sitting at 93 almost. They'll probably end up at 91.5 is what they normally do. They've only got 12 commits, and they'll also supplement with the transfer portal. Kentucky's sitting at number 20. South Carolina has moved up a little bit to number 28. They were 38 earlier. Mississippi State at number 42. Ole Miss at number 47, which doesn't sound very good. It won't matter. He lives in the portal. Lane Kiffin doesn't care about recruiting very much at all. You can tell he's got 12 commits, and half of them are 3 stars. He's going to go in the portal and find guys that are proven and pay the money. And then you go down here. Let's take a look and see where Florida is, since we were talking about Cormani McClain. And we have to hit the dreaded load more button still. They've not gotten above top 50. And they're sitting at number 67. I do have good news for Florida. They jumped Vanderbilt. They're 2 spots ahead of them. So you got that going for you, which has got to make you feel a little bit better. To say that Billy Napier's on the hot seat is an understatement. The one thing that kept him going last year, he had a top 3 recruiting class until it fell off at the end. He wound up about 14th, which is still not terrible by any stretch. He had good players, but he lost a 5-star, a 4-star, and a couple others. This guy's going to have to win quickly this year. If he doesn't really get off to a good start in the first half of this season, which will be the only chance he has because his last 5 games are an absolute nightmare, he'll be let go before he even gets to those last 5 games, or probably in the middle of that gauntlet. So not looking so good. Tennessee, I think they're going to wind up about 10th in recruiting if I had to guess. David Sanders is going to be a big decision coming up. We also have a very big decision with the number 1 player in the country in 2026, and he is heavily favored to pick the Vols, and that is Faison Brandon. As you can see, he's already got a crystal ball prediction. I think he's got a couple, 3 of them. One of them, Steve Wiltfong. Looks really good for Tennessee to pick up their cornerstone piece for 2026, and you love to start it out early with a quarterback. And I believe it's August 3rd he's going to be deciding, and I may actually cover that. That is such a big deal. I may cover that live. It depends on whether I'm having to work or not. You know, sometimes I get stuck at work.
Drink it up, people! All right, drink it up, gambler.
But anyway, things are looking pretty good for Tennessee. Like I said, I think they're going to finish about 10th, somewhere in that neighborhood, with about a 91 average, which is solid. And really what the Vols have got to do this year, they're in a great position. Their schedule's not a nightmare. It's tough. I mean, we got to play Georgia, Alabama, and Oklahoma, and 2 of those are on the road, so it's still very difficult. But they've got to get in the playoff. This team needs to get in the playoff, and with Nico, they have a very legitimate shot. This is a team that's looking good to possibly go 10-2. I don't know if they'll go 11-1. That would be very difficult, and 9-3 would be a disappointment for them. But they got to start winning big to be able to get in that top 5. That's what's going to be required, and it's the chicken and the egg. What do you got to do? Win first or start recruiting first? With Tennessee, they're going to need to win first. Otherwise, we're going to be around that top 10, which is still not bad. I'm not complaining about that. But to get in the top 5 and truly compete with Alabama and Georgia, which is what we're dealing with, and looks like Texas coming up, and a couple others like A&M and Oklahoma that have big money, they're going to have to start winning big time, kind of like they did in 2022, which would get you in the playoff. You know, we're not dealing with any of this Final Four stuff. Now we got 12 teams. And I think you're going to see this become the most exciting season ever in college football. I'm so confident of that I almost can't tell you. I just could not be more excited about this season coming up. It's going to be fantastic. And I'm pumped about the Vols. And I know there's a lot of fan bases out there that are pumped about their team. Ole Miss, Missouri, obviously Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma. Texas A&M should be pretty fired up. And there's a sleeper team out there that interests me greatly, and that's Auburn. I think they're going to become a very strong team. I'm not enamored with their quarterback, Peyton Thorne. I think he's pretty good, but if you want to win 10 games somewhere in that neighborhood, you need a really, really good quarterback, and I don't think he's there. He strikes me as kind of a Graham Mertz, which is a good quarterback, don't get me wrong. I think Graham's better than Peyton, but you need a really high-end quarterback to get you there, especially if you're not just completely loaded the way Georgia or Alabama is with talent. So anyway, I want to do this update today. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit that little button right there. It would help me out, and it won't cost you one dime. And right over here is a most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.